Hello, I'm Sarah Bourgeois. I'm an Adobe ambassador and VCU student in advertising, and today I'm going to teach you some basic editing in Photoshop. We're going to do how to edit background elements out of an image and how to play with the sky and adjustment layers a little bit. So first we're going to need to open our image. We'll click open, and I just want this one that I downloaded last week. So the first thing that we're going to do is make the selection of what we want to get rid of, and I want to get rid of this little heart-shaped purse moment in the top corner. There's a lot of different selection tools you can use to do that. There's quick selection. If you right-click, you can see the other tools. You can do the magic wand, you can do object, you can do lassos. My personal favorites are magnetic lasso and then quick selection. For this, we only really need the quick selection. I already started clicking now. Come on, buddy. Okay, Control D to deselect that. And with quick selection, the first thing I like to do is use the new selection version of the tool, and then after I get my first selection, see I just clicked there and it does that. It selects the object because it can see the color contrast. Photoshop knows what I'm looking for when I click that, so it selects it. And then the other two options are the add select and the subtract from selection. So if I want to add a little bit more here, I just click like this. And I do want, normally I wouldn't want this if I was going for like a mask or something, but I want a little bit of the sky involved for what I want to do. So I'm just going to go around the border and do that, and it did a little bit too much, so I'm going to go to subtract, and I'm just going to knock a little bit of this out and just a little bit more right there, and that's all I need. So the next thing I'm going to do is go to edit and then select content aware fill, and that'll fill up my selection after we look at this preview and all of these settings. So this just kind of shows you what it'll look like after you do your selection. So if you see at the top left corner, it's not visible at all anymore, and that's because of these settings over here. So what it's doing is taking the image of the sky that I've added to the selection around the object, and it's using that to coat over the purse so that it kind of covers it up with what's in the background, so it looks like it was never there. And if yours isn't showing up in the preview, you might have to click auto. Mine's already selected, but when I first did this, it was on custom, and custom didn't show the green already. But if you do auto, it'll fill it in for you. If it's on custom and you want to be specific with it, you just go in with the brush, with this brush, and you'll color over that. But it's easier to just click auto. You can play with the opacity if you want, but ours is good, so we're not going to move it. We don't need to play with anything here. We just need to click OK, and now it's gone, but the selection is still here, so to get rid of that, you're going to hit Control D or Command D on your keyboard, and then we just want to we might need to use the spot healing brush, but it looks all right, except this is a little bit fuzzy. So I think I'm going to merge my layers just so that when I spot heal, it's using all of the content to fix the image instead of just the top layer, because you see it made a new layer, and if you look at this preview here, all it has is a little bit of like the sky image to cover up what we wanted to cover up. But if I want to use everything to do the spot healing, I think it's just easier to go to merge layers. And how I selected both layers was I held shift and then left clicked on both of them, and that's how you can select both and then merge layers, and now they're all one. So when I go to this little guy, which is the spot healing brush, I just want spot healing, and I click around here, it'll heal a little bit, and it'll use like both of the things, like both images. I think that's all I need to do. Maybe get rid of that a little bit. Yeah, so you can play around with it to your liking. I think that's all I really need to do. So then the next section of our tutorial is how to play with the sky. So I'm just going to zoom out here. And then I want to select the sky, and you can do that with all of the other selection tools, but I think the fastest way to do it is I have my layer selected. If I go to select at the menu at the top, and then I go to sky, Photoshop knows what the sky looks like in my image, and it can just select it after it loads a little bit. So there we go, and I think that's good. If I want to edit it, I can go into quick select, and I think I want to take out a little bit because it's a little bit close to the hair, and I don't really want it to do that. So we're just going to do that, and then what I'm going to do is go to adjustments, and this will add an adjustment layer. So it's kind of the same thing that we just did. It'll add another layer on top, but this layer will adjust color because I want to use hue and saturation. There are other adjustments that you can use. You can do brightness is a big one that we might play with, color balance, black and white, things like that. And if you don't see this menu, go to the window at the top and go to adjustments right here. See, mine's already checked off because it's already here. If yours isn't checked off, then you can click on that and it'll open it up. But I just want to click on the hue and saturation one. And then with this, I can play around with these levels and get the color of sky that I want. You can do more saturation, and then if you do a crazy amount of saturation, it looks kind of fun. It's artistic, it's cool if that's your vibe, but I want this project to be a little bit more realistic, so normally you'll take the saturation to the middle area. You can lighten, you can darken, but I've played with this earlier, so the settings that I want are 11 for the hue, 39 for the saturation, and -6 for the light dark. So after you do that, you don't have to click anything else. You just need to close this window and then your adjustments stay. And I think that looks natural and it's a little bit brighter than what I had before, which is what I wanted. I kind of want it to be a little bit brighter though. So I'm going to go back to selecting this layer and we'll add another adjustment for brightness and contrast. And oh, I need to select the sky again, because if I do it this way with brightness and contrast, oh, it added another one. I just want to open this layer here. It'll do brightness for the entire image if I don't do the selection, which kind of looks nice, but that is not what I wanted to do. There's also this auto setting, so it'll look at your image and kind of do what it thinks your image needs. So it just brightened a little bit, lowered the contrast a little bit, and that looks kind of nice. So I'm actually going to leave that. But if you want to select the sky again, you can do sky select, or you might be able to add brightness to this. No, it just does the same thing. Okay, so I just Control-Z that to get rid of that. So if you want to do this again, just select your layer, select sky, let it load. And it just does the same thing it did before. I'm going to hide this brightness one. Yeah, just so I can see what I'm doing. And then we'll go to brightness, and this is, it created a new layer and it's masked again, so it's only doing the sky, and you can brighten that, you can darken that, you can do less contrast, you can do more contrast. Let's try auto. Okay, I don't like that as much as I liked the other one, so I'm just gonna go ahead and delete this one. But that is how you would mess with both. You just have to keep selecting and making more layers. But I'm going to put that back on, and that'll be my finished image. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope this helped.